the Baal Hasulam of righteous memory, says that in his opinion, there is only one soul in all of creation, Hashem's Zulato, Hashem's other. Adam is living 100 million lives, and he's living them through now Knesset Israel, Hashem's bride. This is because we inherited the godly soul through Yaakov Avinu, our forefather Jacob, the Bechisha Ba'avot, the chosen of the Avot, whose face is engraved on the Kisei HaKavod. Yaakov Lomed, it says. Yaakov never died, and we now understand what that means. This is possible because the soul is not actually bound by space and time, nor can it even technically subdivide, so this is actually quite an obvious teaching. However, this level of the soul, where everything is just one, is called Yechida, which means one soul. Not just one with Hashem, but also itself, unique and one. However, it does appear differently in the 600,000 souls of Israel and Sparks, which is you and me, because of our Nefesh HaBahamit, because of our body, which closes off the gates and the doors in our heart and soul, giving us a different expression, giving us a different personality, giving us different strengths from the unique soul. However, as we refine ourselves through Torah Mitzvot, we start to open these gates and we start to actually see the oneness of our soul more clearly. We don't even realize this when we're born. We feel like we're unique and individual. However, the more work we do, the more obvious it becomes. Now, this is a great secret. When just one Jew is completely rectified through Teshuvah and no longer sees himself as a distinct individual, but rather that his soul is present with all Yisrael in one soul, then immediately the Mashiach will come. You may think that one person is definitely going to have to be a tzaddik or a gadol or a great rabbi, but that's not the case at all. Everybody contains the potential for the entire collective, and every spiritual accomplishment that you achieve uplifts the entire soul and becomes available to everybody else. So when we go through a particular spiritual experience similar to one of our forefathers, we temporarily experience their spiritual state that they achieved. When we go through some sort of exodus, for example, from limitations, from Eitzarim, we connect to Moshe. Moshe lo met. Moshe never died. When we overcome challenges, we connect to Yehoshua. When we build, for example, a sacred space, a mikdash in our lives, we connect to Shlomo HaMelech, King Solomon. Each person must go through their own version of all the spiritual journeys and accomplishments that humanity as a whole went. Once upon a time, spiritual leadership was limited to special individuals like Moshe and Shmuel and David. And now, every person has equal potential for spiritual greatness. Everybody is fit for kingship. David Melech Yisrael Chai V'Kayam. David, king of Israel, lives and endures. It appears like we've reached the lowest of lows. Nonetheless, we have access to all the spiritual accomplishments that we achieved over the course of history. So even somebody who's on the lowest possible level with a very base soul and thinks that they're spiritually unworthy, if they genuinely work to improve themselves and their actions, they can actually connect to the full spiritual heritage of our people, and they can experience in a moment what generations before them gradually built up over time. They can become great overnight. So this beautifully and wonderfully and truly means that any individual, regardless of who they are, me, you, can reach such a high spiritual level that they can positively influence the entire generation and bring the Mashiach. The potential for bringing the final redemption and Mashiach exists within every single individual, you and me. When you see a Jew, remember that they are the heart of your heart, the soul of your soul. Love them as yourself, for they are your very self. Am echad, b'lev echad.